Hi everyone, welcome back. I am going to do using Plain and Simple from Fawn stamp set. I'm going to make like a magic slider card. Now this is a die cut from Laurie Whitlock, so it's an SVG file. So I'm just showing you all the pieces here. So you've got the main piece, which is going to be the main card, which has a slit down the middle and an opening. Then there's a frame that comes with this one. The white one with the tab is what will be the slider. The two U-shaped pieces are to create the track, and there's a white and then an acetate piece that will fit in to create the scene that we're going to do. This piece that cuts out the center to create like a frame, I was thinking I could use that as a bit of a guide, but I actually do something else, so ignore that ignore that piece. You can just get rid of that or use it on the inside of another card. So to start with, you have this piece that has what looks like a long opening, and right next to that slit is basically where you're going to fold in half to create the base of the card or the magic slider. And I'm just going to score that so that we can start to assemble this as we go. Hopefully I'm going to explain this well enough, but Fawn have their own magic slider dies, which I don't have, but they explain it really well as to how to put these together. So this white piece that's going to go in the inside is actually what we're going to stamp some of our images onto, and this is the bit that will be revealed. So first of all, decide which way you're going to want that to slide, whether it's top to bottom, from the top, or whether you want it coming out from the side, and that way you can figure out which way your scene's going to go. I'm using the inside of this as a guide to where that piece of paper is going to go. Excuse me. And then just marking it with a pencil, so I've got guidelines. Oh, holy hell. And I know that within those little guidelines I can stamp my images. Stamp my images and get I know it's going to be within that center frame. So to start with, I thought I would use some ink on 3. This is a hybrid ink, and I'm just going to stamp this sentiment. Fawn stamp sets often come in like sections, if you like, the sentiments, so that you can pop them together and make your own sentiments out of them. And so that's what I've done with this one. Now for this next bit, I am bringing a stamp platform out to help keep the guide in place, and you'll see that when we come to do the acetate bit. So I'm going to decide where I want my plane. Now you can do this however you want. This is just what I chose to do. So I've chosen, there's 2 planes on that stamp set, and I've chosen this one, which is kind of a more old-fashioned look, which I love. So I've then, with this stamp, I'm still using the ink on 3 hybrid ink to stamp onto the cardstock. And this way, this ink in particular I can use with Copic markers. I could have used a Memento or something like that if I wanted to use sorry, not a Memento, a permanent one if I wanted to use like watercolors or something. But this is the one that I'm going to color in. So now that I've got my little plane on my reveal part or scene, I'm now lining up roughly in the middle as best you can, the acetate over the top of that. And now, without moving my stamp, I'm going to take a permanent ink. I've used Ranger's archival ink for this in jet black, and I'm going to stamp that on top of the acetate. Now I did this a couple times, and I do sort of smudge it a little bit so give it time to dry. A StazOn I haven't used StazOn for many years. I don't know whether a StazOn would be better as in drying time. Maybe it will dry quicker, but this worked fine. And because you've got the other image underneath, if you don't line it up and the acetate moves, you can just reline it up, ink it, stamp it again, which is what I had to do. So now I've got that, I'm going to put that to one side and let it dry. But you've got your acetate ready with what you want on it. So now for the rest of this scene that I'm creating, I'm going to use this on clouds in the stamp set. my throat's gone funny now. And I'm just going to dot them around. I grab another size cloud in a minute as well, just to give some variation, and it actually turns out like quite a cute little scene, I thought. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, to be honest, because I had never made one of these before. I've watched a lot of videos on how to put these things together, so I am basically winging it at this point. But it actually went really well, and it went fairly simply once I knew which order I had to do things and layer things in, and it was actually pretty easy to do. So like I say, Fawn do have their own, and Laurie Whitlock will have a video as well on how to put her cuts together, so check them both out, they're great. So I've stamped on my little clouds, and now I'm going to get to colouring. Well, in a minute. I'm going to first erase all the pencil marks, because otherwise they'll get trapped underneath the colour, so just remember that for anything. Not so much under the black ink, you're not going to see that, but any colouring you do, especially if it's watercolour or something like that, they'll just get trapped on there, you won't be able to get it off. And now I am going to speed through the colouring part, but hopefully I'll be able to tell you the colours. I do show them on screen. So I decided to pick some Copic markers that were similar colours to the outside of this. So for the clouds, I'm just going around in little circles with a BG10, which is kind of like an icy blue colour. I use this a lot for clouds or for outlines, things like that, just to highlight areas. Just a one layer colour, nothing super fancy. I just went around in little circles thinking it might add to the look, but I don't know if it made any difference. And then I've got two greys, it's C1 and a C3, so just a pale and a slightly darker, or sort of two shades up, for the what I'm putting on as the grey parts of the plane. And then I've got an R20 and an R22 for my like red peachy pink. It's kind of a peachy pinky kind of red, and I like this combo together, and it actually matched really quite well with the pinky color of the card base. So just tied everything together. It just happened to work out, which I was chuffed about, because I didn't really want to start this again because it was going to be too time consuming. Oh, what's my cat doing? Anyway, so now we've got the pieces set. So I'm going to first of all stick my main scene, the bit that's going to get revealed, into the inside of the card, and facing the way, I just need to make sure that the slit in the middle of that piece is where I would want to be able to reveal from. It'll make more sense in a second if you've not seen this before, but in other words, I don't want to stick it upside down or back to front or something like that. So, and I do stick it down a little quicker than I realized. I had to pull it up a little bit. This is Fawn's tape, and it's very, very sticky, so it's good for things like this, but yeah, it got real stuck real quick, but I managed to salvage it, shall we say? I can't talk. So I'm getting the image on the like little what am I calling it, the little scenery thing, and for this one there's a tiny gap around the edge, but that's great. It works perfectly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out how to get the acetate on. Now, I could have done this two ways. One is I should have used this is the 1/4 inch tape. I should have used the 1/8 inch tape, and it would have worked much better. And just sticking some tape around the edge of the frame. And then I'll show you how we actually stick it down. I had to finagle a few little skinny bits of card just so that there's no sticky. What you don't want is sticky on the inside, because it'll stop things from moving. So you need to make sure your adhesive is concealed, shall we say. So I should have used thinner tape, or I should have put it on the outside edge of the top part of the acetate instead. And then closed it. But basically you're going to line up your image on top of your colored image, and it's actually really easy to line up. This is where I smudge it. But you line it up right over the top, and you can actually see when it lines up directly over the top. It's really quite easy to see. And then I'm going to close this like a book. And my acetate, this is when I realized I had too much sticky. The acetate then has created the window, kind of like window frame cards that we make. Or if you're making a shaker card, you would do the same sort of thing. Obviously this is not a shaker card, so it's going to be a slightly different effect, but you've now created the window for your slider. So now there are these, just trying to fix my smudge there, these U-shaped pieces. We're just going to get some thin, this is the 1/8 inch tape, all around the edge of the U-shape, which I did off camera because, it's like watching paint dry. So what you want to do is line up the open end of the U needs to be, the open end needs to be where the slit in the middle is. So hopefully you can see this fairly well, because if you did it the other way around, you would essentially close your whole slider and nothing would be able to go in and out of it, which you don't want, because you want to create the slider in the first place. So you just line it up along the edge of the card over the one with the scene, and don't worry, you're not going to see any of this. This is just to create a track for the so that the slider part, which is this funny T-shaped thing that we'll see in a second, it's so that that slider part doesn't slide out the side of the card, and it just keeps it within the track. Again, it'll make a little more sense as we keep going. So I'm putting 2 layers of this on. Laurie's cut actually comes with 2 pieces for this. I don't know if Lawn Fawn's one does, but this one does. So then we're going to open this up, and I had the frame ready, so I just decided to actually pop the frame on as well, just while I was there. And I just think it added a nice little touch to this. Actually, I really quite like it. I think it's quite sweet. So there's that. So now you can see that's what you will see as an end result. So now within this frame, so on top of this U-shaped piece, the track that you've made, you need to put some more skinny adhesive on there. And this is how we're going to actually close the whole thing, so that it closes shut. Obviously you don't want to close it shut until you've put the actual slider bit in, which I'll show you in a minute. So we're going to get that burnished onto the card, so we make sure it's really nicely on there. And you can do that for anything, actually. It's burnishing, I always forget. So this funny little shaped thing is going to go in through there, and that is your tab to create the slider part, the magic slider. I think that's what most people call these things. So what you want to do as well, and this is just a neat trick that I found from Lawn Fawn when they were doing their videos, and Kelly does a great video on this, is to use a powder tool. You can use baby powder, you can use corn flour, if there's excess, just dust it off with a dry paintbrush, but it will help that mechanism move much quicker and much smoother. So I'm just plopping that all over so that I make sure that it's going to slide and move quite nicely. Now that I have that done, I'm going to line up those 2 little like T-junctions things. I don't know what to call them. They're like little pippy things at the bottom of this white centerpiece there. I will bring it up close in a minute just to show you what I'm on about. I don't know what to call them, but these they're like little pieces that stick out there. If you make sure they're inside the track before you then shut this like a book, and seal it shut, that way make sure they're in the track, you won't have stuck them to themselves or to the inside of the book, and then it'll move really, really nicely. Now there's an extra little tab here that you can either stamp on. You can stamp the word pull. I start I start writing pull here and realize my writing is quite horrendous. Didn't like it, so I decided to actually tape over that side and then just turn it over There's two sides to every piece of paper. Remember that. Always two sides to a piece of paper. So whenever you make a boo-boo, like I did here, and I didn't like it, I wasn't happy with it, I decided to just flip it over. And my cat is driving me mad. She's trying to go out. The dog's barking downstairs. Oh my word. Anyway, so I decided to just type. I decided to write, pull, and that's enough. You know, it's fine. And by putting this extra little piece on here, you will prevent it from sliding through and getting stuck inside the whole thing. So your mechanism will stay within that, and you can just go in and out, in and out. It acts kind of like a stopper on that end bit. But isn't that the coolest thing? Obviously mine's a little juddery because I had to finagle because I made a boo-boo on the acetate bit with too much sticky. You can use this whole thing as a card, which is what I'm going to do, or you can stick some tape or some foam dots to the back of that and stick it to a separate base card. So you can do it either way. I've left it that this is the whole card, and that works. I just think it's the cutest thing, and I can't believe I actually managed to get the colors to work so well. But isn't that sweet? I just think it's so cute, and it's a nice little size. It's not horrendously huge, it's not teeny tiny, but it's a fun thing for someone to do and to look at. Now on the outside, on the acetate, just as a quick thing, I could have also done all the clouds and just left them all, you know, with no color. I chose just to have that, so there's a bigger reveal on the inside. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you give these kind of cards a go, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye.